And I truly, truly believe, like, for me as the head coach, like, I have to have that urgency. I have to leave no stone unturned. I have to have the same discipline in my life that I want them to have.
All right, everybody. It's not often that you get to bring on a person that's not only a friend, but somebody that you admire in a very significant way. Now, over my career, I've been exposed to so many different coaches and instructors and people that really spend a lot of time influencing other people, in particular young men. And one of the people that has had the greatest impact on me in my life, because of how much he cares, because of how much he's dedicated to what it is he does for a living, he really transforms people's lives. And so without further ado, I'd love to welcome my friend, Coach Matt Rhule, to the show. Thank you, Matt, for coming on.
No, thank you, brother. And for what, I think you know this, but the feeling's beyond mutual in terms of how I feel about you. So thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. Let's get right in. I know you're coming off Big Ten Press Week and doing 5 gazillion interviews about specifics and what's coming up in the season. So I thought we'd just get started with, you go through a week like that, and obviously everybody wants you to give the details of your expectation of performance, what you think's going to be good or bad. How do you look at the season in terms of not versus wins or losses, but in terms of your players and what you want your players to really lean into this year in terms of their development and their cohesion as a team? Well,
it's year 3 for us, so, year 1, you come in, the guys don't even know what to expect. The way we do things is different, maybe than what they had done before. It's hard. And so that the first year you're kind of teaching it. You want them to sort of learn the process. That second year they start to live it out. They kind of know what to do. Now they have to make a decision. Like, am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? Sometimes you're working harder than you ever have in your life and you're getting some results, but not what you wanted. And so there's kind of almost like a decision that has to be made by everybody. And when they make that decision, if they decide to buy in, then year 3 here for us, I'm looking for ownership. I'm looking for guys that, like, it's no longer Coach Rhule's way. It's our way, and we reported today. It's like, I told our coaches, like, I want you to walk in this building every day as a coach and be like, I'm so grateful to be here. I love the food. I love the gear. I love the clothing. I don't want you to complain. Like, this is ours, and, I think when you have ownership, anything's possible. They're going to take it and run with it. And that's why, my other college stops, we always, played for a championship in year 3 because it was no longer me. It was them.
And that's one of my favorite components about your past is, you look at what you were able to do at Temple in the 3-year turnaround and then at Baylor. Probably my favorite stories that you talk about was when you went over to the Carolina Panthers and how you learned, you really understand, hey, that wasn't the right job for me. And I learned a tremendous amount. You have 2 essentially new head coach, new defensive coordinator. And then obviously Dana came in at the end of last season. How do you get them to come in and recognize, hey, this is year 3. This is the year the expectations have rise, not only for our players because they're bought in. How do you get them to speed up and get on par? I mean, they're both incredible professionals. They have wonderful backgrounds, whether in the NFL or when they were at Houston or West Virginia. So how do you look to them and what do you say to them about their buy-in?
I think it's a great question. I think it's really as you're going through not the recruiting, but the hiring process, I think you're looking at them and saying, like, are they going to have the urgency? Are they going to have the intentionality? Are they going to have the selflessness, required to get this thing done? It's not just, hey, what are my stats? It's what does it take, to win this game? So I hope the first part is just in the selection of people, but I truly, truly believe, like, for me as the head coach, like, I have to model what I want from the people that report to me. And so I have to have that urgency. I have to leave no stone unturned. I have to have the same discipline in my life that I want them to have. So if I have that, then I hope it's pervasive. It starts to catch on to, the coordinators. And then I hope that then it catches on to the staff and everybody, and it catches all the way to the players and every single player. It's really hard, in my opinion, to tell people what to do if you're not doing it. Mm-hmm. And so if I have that urgency of like, hey, it's time for us to win now, it's time for us to perform, I then can I can hold people accountable. I can help them if they need help. I can challenge them when they need challenged, but I can't allow it when they turn around to me and they say like, well, you're not doing X, Y, and Z. And so, for me this year, I've taken, since the end of last season, I've taken tremendous personal ownership over what happens this season. And as you know, sometimes that means you have to let go. I got to let Dana go do what Dana does, and he's great at it. I have to let John do what he does. I can't hold everything together. I've got to just, trust them, but at the same time, have a standard, and that standard, we won't compromise that standard.
For me, one of the things that I love most is every year there's the game where you give the badass speech and it goes viral on the internet, or you do some post game interview where you just deliver the right words that generate this familial atmosphere at Nebraska. And you said something during the Big Ten media day that it was like, well, as a head, what do great coaches do, right? Great coaches listen, great coaches ask questions. Can you describe a little bit more about that in terms of that relationship between your new offensive defensive coordinator? They're coming in, they're implementing the air raid offense. You're looking for that really to beef up your secondary and, in the defense. How does that mindset of listening and then asking and answering the right questions, not only with your players, but your coaches work too? Can you describe that a little bit more?
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that's probably the place of most growth for me. Since I was a head coach at Temple, 13 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever, it was like, no, just do this, and no, just do that. And, I think, when you think about people, I think the best thing you can do is ask questions and get them, especially now where people don't want to talk. They want to text, right? Like, asking questions and getting people to talk. And even if I know what I want the answer to be or where I believe the answer should be, if I'm asking them, I always start with why. Well, why would we do this? And why do you want to do that? And sometimes it illuminates for me like, oh my gosh, they're right. I'm wrong. And hey, let's go this path. Like I could care less about being right or wrong. I just want to end up afterwards saying, hey, we did the right thing. Mm-hmm. So I try to ask the right questions, but at the same time, if that's not the best path that they want to do, and I'm asking the right questions, it's leading them, it's guiding them towards, maybe we should do this over here. And so I have no problem, David, I have no problem sometimes saying like, no guys, this is what we're doing. I have no problem, saying, hey, no, this is the direction we're going to go. And, they're loyal. I know they'll always buy into that. But I think when they feel a part of it, I think when they feel ownership too, it's when they feel like they can talk to you, I think it's just a game changer, right? So, great organizations, great teams have great discourse. They challenge each other, they talk, and that's what I want. And if I'm not willing to listen, then no one's going to ever talk. And so I've had to grow, in terms of listening better, then also asking the right questions. And when you do that, you get great information. And Dana's been a head coach. So, we were in the meeting earlier. We were talking about like walkthroughs and the pace and tempo, and I was kind of stuck on what we should do. And I was like, well, what do you think? And he gave a direct answer. And I said, great, let's move in that direction. And what it's done for me is things that used to take me, I got to make these 8 decisions. That's going to take me all this time to do it. Like maybe now it's 5, maybe 3 things like John's and say, hey, I think we should do this. So being willing to not, so often as leaders, we think we have to have all the answers. No, you just have to end up making the right decision in the end. And so asking people what they would do, getting their buy-in, I think it creates a great dynamic, and you get the right answer usually.
I've always loved the way you provide that environment for your, the people that work with you, your coaches and your players, but even goes beyond that. I mean, I just think the entire community of Nebraska football, Nebraska athletics has really evolved since you've been there, with all the new changes that have taken place, all the new facilities and the new, just Nebraska athletics as a whole has just seems like it's on this ascension towards becoming a more dominant athletic program in the country. do you find that it's really bringing a greater sensation of pride to these new players coming in? I know you got a tremendous amount of new players in this year, and do you sense that it's having the impact that you had wanted it to have?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it takes on various forms, right? Like, when we have two guys on our wrestling team, win national championships, when we have Jordy Ball's the best softball player in the country, when our men's and women's teams, make it, to postseason, when our volleyball team, Harper Murray and, Andy Jackson and, all these great players, Bergen Riley, they're dominating. You walk around campus and you're like, hey, I'm part of something that's bigger than me. I'm part of an elite athletic department that we win championships at the highest level. And to your point, we're ascending. We're getting better and better and better. So I want them to feel tremendous pride in that. Then I want them to feel the investment being made, by us as a staff, by the athletic department. Like, hey, you're important, man. We're going to bring you the best facilities. We're going to bring you the best food. We're going to bring you the best coaches. And then, to your point, just like the state, I mean, people all across the state, like we are the NFL team here. Like we are the show in town. And so, there's a lot of people that are counting on us to play well. There's a lot of people that are counting on us. And so that can sometimes feel like pressure, like, oh man, everyone's counting on, but no, like I want them to say to themselves, like, man, how lucky am I that I'm at a place where everything I do matters and my performance matters. And so it's not pressure. It's a privilege that people care that much about what you do. So, from where we were to where we are right now, it's light years ahead. And then, we'll just keep taking the same path of getting a little bit better every day. And as we do that, though, as you know, the pressure will mount, but we love that pressure. That's why we came to Nebraska, to be a part of that.
That's my favorite aspect of it. It's like the ambition of it, right? The ambition of matching the expectations from, all the different championships, all the different Heisman winners, the storied past of Nebraska football. And it's like you have that weight on your shoulders, but now you're almost in a new place. You're independent of it. And I think that's the beautiful aspect of your leadership style and your leadership. I remember when you first got the job, you told me that the AD at the time was like, their two most important people in Nebraska are the governor and the head football coach. And, that's a tremendous burden. But the thing that I've always seen with you wherever you go is like, you never look at it as a burden. It goes back to that sensational pride. Can you talk a little bit about, playing in that stadium that's been sold out for, 50 plus years, the crowd, the people that support Nebraska football. Can you describe that a little bit?
Yeah, it's humbling. I mean, it's amazing. It's humbling because, we haven't been really successful since like 2000, at a high level, right? Now there was Bo Pelini had some wonderful years, 10 wins, 11 wins. I'd be careful how I say that, but really till last year, it's been since 2016 till we won a bowl game, yet the fans come every week. Mm-hmm. And, they come because it's their state, it's their team. Those players are their players. They have tremendous ownership in the program. And, last year, I remember thanking the fans, like, thanks for coming for all this time, even though it hasn't been at the level that we want, until now. And so, but that makes the game special. The traditions here, the light shows, when we can do the balloons, it's a passionate crowd. And David, they don't just love football. They also know football. Like I'll go to speak at different places and, I'll get questions from people. I'll get questions from men, women, young, old, and they're all smart football questions because they understand the game. They come early. We come out for warm-ups and everyone's there. They stay till the end. And so to be able to last year give them some moments, beating Colorado, which is obviously a bitter rivalry, beating Wisconsin for the first time in 12 years, which let us go to a bowl game and seeing the people in the stands, right? And seeing how, excited they were. When it's me, the game's over. I'm thinking about next week. I'm thinking about what do I say in the locker room to get ready for next week. But when you make it about not just you, but other people, when it's, it's when you're having joy for them, it's really pretty special because they've shown up all these years. only asking for Nebraska's best in return, and to be able to make a step and go to a bowl, win a bowl. It was really, really awesome because they gave us a great atmosphere each and every week.
That's phenomenal. I think, when you play in anytime you're a part of something that's not just transactional, right? I think, that's the thing I learned a little bit when you were at Carolina. There's pro football is a little bit more transactional, right? Within college football, it's there's a legacy involved that you're always up against. You're always trying to cultivate it and morph, your own personality to kind of keep lifting it up and taking it to the next level. Well, anybody that takes 5 seconds and looks at your upcoming season and what your schedule looks like, there's no doubt that you are upping, that pressure and upping that level of performance. I think that obviously for me, and I think everybody else, every question that seemed to kind of press you on this season is, centers around September 20th, November 1st, and November 22nd in terms of Michigan, Penn State, and your alma mater, Michigan, USC, and then your alma mater, Penn State. I know you don't look at a season in that capacity. You look at one game at a time. But when you set a schedule like that and you pull your coaches and your team together, how do you get them to one, respect the magnitude of what's in front of them, but also stay focused on showing up and doing the work each and every day?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Like that is the job, right? Because, we're so outcome driven, which we should be. But, to me, like, okay, well, we want to go to CFP. We want to win the Big Ten. We want to win the national championship. But like, shoot, so does everybody else. Every team in the country says that. So, goals are easy. Execution is everything. And so how do you execute? You come out every single day. And my point to our guys is always, whatever the intensity we're going to have for the last game of the season, whether that's the national championship game, a bowl game, a playoff game, or the last game, whatever the last game of the year is, whatever that intensity we're going to play with is, well, then we got to practice that way tomorrow. And we probably will tomorrow, but like 10 days in, when you're sore and beat up, you got to practice that way 10 days from now. And there has to be that same intensity. There has to be that same message about every single day, like going out there and just being great. Because to me, the wins are fun because they're achievement. It's fun to go out and achieve, but it's just a measure showing your greatness. Like, I want to play good teams so that we can show that we're great. But then I also have a chance to just be great in everything that we do. Like, we can be great in the way we work out in the mornings. We can be great in the way that we meet, the way that we do everything. And really, when I think about my goal, I want to run an elite, great, really the best college football program in the country. Like, and that's not just on game days. Like, I want that to be every single day. Everything we do is marked by excellence. And so if excellence starts being your running partner, then you got a pretty good chance. If you wait for 3 or 4 games and like, okay, let's be great today. Oh, wow, we got the top team in the country, and you're not living in excellence each and every day. And you're not straining. You're not making yourself miserable each day so that you can say, hey, I did something really hard. That it's hard to do something hard later. We've got to live that way every single day. And so, it started last year at the end of last year. And I remember putting up the schedule, David, and I was like, hey, look how many teams are like 5-7, 6-6, 7-5 like us. Who's gonna be pushing themselves? Who's gonna embrace hard things? Who's gonna have the courage to do things they're afraid to do for the next 6 months to get to the season? And our guys have done it. So I look forward to those games, but I also look forward to everyone that we play, because it's a chance for our guys to go out there and show greatness, show excellence, show mastery, show the love they have for each other in the game. And that's what I got into this whole thing for.
Yeah. And I think that's always the component as a coach that you want you want to inspire these people to go up against those giant hurdles, right? You know, to look at that as the aspiration, that's the ambition, right? And that's if I'm not going against Penn State at Penn State, then why am I even playing this damn game, right? And I want to, you know, and for Dylan to go against Drew, like that's his dream coming true. And so for me, it's just like, wow. I mean, these young kids are you're always putting the opportunity in front of them to develop those leadership traits through their work ethic, their play, and then really to lift other people around them up. Who are some of the guys and the young men on your team right now that are really exemplifying and meeting that challenge in their development as young leaders?
Yeah, that's a great another great question. But we have, you know, you always have like the guys that like when I think about leadership, there's always the guys that love to like get up and give a speech. There's always the guys that like, and that's great, right? I mean, we want those things. But it's convenient sometimes, right? Like things are going well and hey, I'm going to rally the boys and let's go out there. To me, I'm always looking at, hey, when things are really hard, when things are, you know, the chips are stacked against us, like who's going to lead us then? Like who's going to lead us in tough times? Who's going to put the team above themselves when need be? And, you know, you mentioned Dylan. I think Dylan's done a great job of it. Marquise Buford's a senior for us, 2 torn ACLs, all kinds of adversity. But he's one of those rare guys in today's society who he's not afraid to speak up. He's not afraid to talk to people, yet he has great relationships with them. So they know where he's coming from. I think that's really important. We had a young man, Dane Key, transfer in from Kentucky, and he's been very versatile. I mean, very, very, very accomplished, played really well in the SEC. And, you know, those guys could come in if they wanted to and be like, well, I do it this way and I do it that way. And just the humility that Dane has had, the presence he's had to come in, to lead the group. We have a tremendously talented young group and just come in with that veteran experience. And it's something as simple as like every day I go down, I do this silly little like sauna cold plunge challenge thing that I do. And about 4:00 in the afternoons and a couple coaches will come with me and Dane is usually there. And next thing I know, I just noticed every week he had a couple more receivers with him and, you know, walk in the sauna one day, there's 14 receivers sitting in the sauna, which I was mad because I couldn't get my normal seat. but I just think there's something to that. Like you can say you're a leader based upon your position, or you can say that you're a leader because you're moving people outside of their comfort zone and they're doing things that they normally don't do. And so I see that from Dane. I see him as being one of the guys who's really come in and helped transform a position that really needed that leadership. And I'm real grateful for him for that.
I agree, man. I'm so looking forward to watching that young man play and you know, just, you know, with Dana's new offense and just what could take place. I mean, I go back and, you know, anybody that can average 563.4 yards per game in an offense is mind blowing to me. And,
no doubt.
And the fact that now you have this, you know, this receiver staff that's coming together, these kids that really are buying in. You've got the quarterback in his second year and really maturing. You know, it seems like the things that you always preach, which is the family of the team, right? And that relationship aspect. Can you describe kind of that for maybe, you know, younger coaches, maybe some high school coaches out there that are trying to figure out how to get these kids that, you know, it seems like as I evaluate high school football or, you know, younger football, wherever I go, whether I'm looking at IMG, you know, or I'm looking at, you know, some teeny little podunk football team in the Panhandle in Florida, you know, can you describe why you think it's so important to that familial attitude, the family mentality in raising young men as well as young players is so critical to developing great programs?
Well, you know, I think one of the most powerful words in the English language is the word us. You know, it means that you're part of something. Like it means you're part of a family or part of a group or, you know, part of a team that leads to belonging. I think as humans, we all want to belong. We all want to have a group that we protect and we know they'll protect us. Right. So we're trying to always build us. We're always trying to build a team. We're trying to build, a place where guys can feel safe to challenge themselves, to put themselves out there. Because I mean, if you're just playing for yourself in crucial moments, like when you could take that chance to go make that play, they could win the game, but the pressure's on, you might not do it. You might be afraid of making a mistake and getting crushed on social media and all the things that people will say. But when you know that you're part of a group and you know that when you fall, they're going to be there to catch you or pick you up. When you know that, like, hey, it's not about me. It's about my brothers and the brotherhood that we built. Man, then they're going to lay it all on the line. And, we live in a day and age now where, people are transferring, we're moving around. It's kind of like everyone's their own corporation, their own brand, as they say. Mm-hmm. And there's some good things that come along with that probably, but you'll never ever have that sense of, hey, I'm a part of something, that sense of belonging and the safety that comes with that. Yeah, you're missing out. Like, the locker room is the greatest place in the world, man. And so we're just always trying to build a great locker room with people who care about each other. And you have to be willing sometimes to walk away from toxic people. Like, toxic people kill that. And so if you can if you're willing to do that, if you make tough decisions, you protect the locker room, they'll come together, and then they'll do things that no one thought they could do because they're doing it for each other.
That's beautiful. Well, Coach, again, man, I can't thank you enough for taking time out today, giving me a little bit of your time. As I'm one of your biggest fans in the world. I just have so much faith in who you are as a leader and a coach, but more importantly, as a man and how you influence these young men. So good luck this season. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get up to the Penn State Nebraska game. I know I'm going to be torn and who to root for. But right now, I might actually lean towards you right now, although Pat would kill me if he heard me say that. So no, God bless you. Thank you so much, Coach. I appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend. You're the best.